Okay. Good morning, class. Today we'll be learning about infections of larynx, various inflammatory conditions of larynx, acute chronic laryngitis, laryngotracheitis, acute epiglottitis, laryngeal tuberculosis. Okay, let's start. Okay, now inflammatory disorders of larynx we can classify according to the onset of symptoms like acute and chronic laryngeal inflammatory disorders and laryngeal edema, and another condition laryngopharyngeal reflux disease. Acute conditions are acute laryngitis, also called acute simple laryngitis, acute epiglottitis, viral laryngotracheobronchitis, bacterial laryngotracheobronchitis, and spasmodic croup. Now, chronic conditions, chronic laryngitis, tuberculosis, scleroma, candidiasis, sarcoidosis. We'll be discussing about chronic laryngitis and tuberculosis in this class. Okay, now the causes of laryngeal edema. There are various causes of laryngeal edema which occurs in chronic or acute inflammatory disorders of larynx. Now the most causes are laryngeal infections, viral infections, and bacterial infection causes the laryngeal edema, which is a feature of laryngitis. Also the retropharyngeal abscess, Quinsy peritonsillar abscess, or Ludwig's angina also causes laryngeal edema. And another cause for laryngeal edema is angioneuritic edema. This is angioneuritic conditions, and also the Rinke's edema, another condition due to the overuse of vocal cords and the smoking. This is the Rinke's edema. It is another condition for edematous larynx. And also the thermal or caustic burn, the thermal, the high temperature smoke, steam, or caustic burn by chemicals can cause the laryngeal edema. And also the trauma, blunt trauma over the neck region, which is mostly accidental, or in other cases the intubational trauma and trauma during the endoscopic procedure can also cause laryngeal edema. And also the carcinoma of larynx and pharynx causes laryngeal edema, and also the treatment for this carcinoma like radiotherapy can cause the post-irradiational edema, laryngeal edema. And also other systemic conditions like nephritis, heart failure, myxedema, anasarca, these can also cause laryngeal edema. The laryngeal edema is a feature of laryngeal inflammatory conditions like laryngitis and other conditions. Now let's come to acute laryngitis. Acute simple laryngitis causes most commonly a viral infection. Viruses causes this acute laryngitis, and also the vocal abuse, allergy, and environmental pollutants, smokes, and also the gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, also causes this acute laryngitis. And again, thermal and chemical burn due to inhalational injury, and also the inhalers used in asthma patients, this can also causes acute laryngitis. And again, laryngeal trauma caused by endotracheal intubation or blunt trauma. And also the psychological stress can also cause acute laryngitis. Now, clinical features of acute laryngitis, most commonly there is history of upper respiratory tract infections, the voice is hoarse, sometimes high-pitched and husky voice, and there is dry cough, paroxysmal dry cough, mainly occurring at night. And this sore throat, this throat pain is worsened by talking. There might be some fever or malaise, and on examination by flexible laryngoscopy, we can see erythematous larynx, the supraglottic mucosa, the mucosa of larynx may be erythematous or edematous. The vocal cords may be swollen, edematous, and there we can find thickened secretion, inspissated secretion, thickened mucus over the vocal cords. These are the signs of acute laryngitis. Now this is the picture of flexible laryngoscopy. This is the acute laryngitis picture. The larynx, the mucosa of larynx is erythematous, swollen, congested. Here you can see in the second picture, the vocal cords are swollen, and here you can see the erythema of the mucosa of larynx. Now, treatment of acute laryngitis, the main a philosophy of treatment for acute laryngitis, simple laryngitis, is the prevention of those precipitating agents, like avoidance of cold fluids, cold air. You should cease smoking and alcohol consumption. Everything that causes the acute laryngitis should be stopped. And also the absolute voice rest. This should be done. Absolute voice rest is very necessary, very important for the treatment management of acute laryngitis. You can take the steam of tincture benzoin, and also you can use a mucolytics that will thin those thickened mucus over the larynx. And also this antitussive agents, dextromethorphan or codeine, can be used. And to prevent GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, you can use PPI, proton pump inhibitors, and for pain, analgesic can be used. And antibiotics we can use for secondary bacterial infection. If you suspect it's a viral condition, you need not use antibiotics. And also this steam inhalation will reduce the edema. And all those environmental pollutants should be stopped. Now, acute epiglottitis. The acute inflammation of epiglottis, this is a very dangerous condition, life-threatening condition among all laryngeal conditions. And synonyms, it can also be called acute supraglottitis or supraglottic laryngitis. Epiglottis is a part of the larynx which lies superior to the glottis, so it's a supraglottis larynx. So acute supraglottitis or supraglottic laryngitis are the other name for acute epiglottitis. This is rapidly developing inflammation of the epiglottis and the adjacent tissues due to the bacterial infection, and this may take the life of the patient by the acute obstruction, airway obstruction. This is a very emergency condition. Now, causative agents, this Haemophilus influenzae type B, HIB, is the most common agent to cause acute epiglottitis. The other common pathogens are Streptococcus pyogenes, Streptococcus pneumonia, and Staphylococcus aureus. Now, symptoms, there is severe respiratory distress. Patient is unable to swallow food, dysphagia, there is drooling of saliva from the mouth. This is because of inability to swallow the patient's own saliva, so the saliva drools out from the mouth. Severe sore throat and odynophagia. They are very painful. When patient tries to swallow anything, there is severe pain. The voice is muffled, not hoarse but muffled, and the onset is sudden, and the progression is very rapid in children. Within hours, the child deteriorates. The course is little bit indolent in adults, progresses through days. In children, it progresses in hours. Now, on examination, when you depress the child's tongue, you can see the swollen epiglottis, or sometimes you might require to do the indirect laryngoscopy to visualize the epiglottis. But these procedures are very dangerous. This procedure might precipitate the acute obstruction of the airway, threatening the life of the child. So this should be avoided in OPD. This should be done in OT setup or in ICU setup. Now, another pathognomic sign for epiglottitis is tripod sign. Here the patient is very anxious, and patient leans forward and with the support of two hands, so looks like the tripod. The patient looks like a tripod, and the neck is extended to facilitate the airway. So this tripod sign is very pathognomic of epiglottitis. Now, investigations in acute epiglottitis, flexible laryngoscopy can be done, but this should be done only in ICU or OT setup where there is provision for immediate intubation or emergency tracheostomy. Or you can first intubate the patient and do the laryngoscopy. And another investigation is the X-ray, soft tissue neck X-ray lateral view of the neck. And you can take the swab from the epiglottis for the culture. In 15% of cases, this is positive for Haemophilus influenzae, and blood culture also 50% positive for Haemophilus influenzae. Now, this is the picture of flexible laryngoscopy. The epiglottis is inflamed and gives the and mimics a red cherry. So it's also called inflamed cherry red epiglottitis. AE fold are thickened, arytenoids are edematous. This is the epiglottis, edematous epiglottis, giving the picture of cherry. This patient is first intubated and then direct laryngoscopy is done. This is the picture. This is again the edematous and swollen epiglottis. This will obstruct the upper airway. So this is very dangerous condition. Now X-ray soft tissue neck, what does it show? Enlargement of epiglottis can be seen in this X-ray soft tissue neck. It's also called the thumb sign. The epiglottis, swollen epiglottis looks like a thumb. There is absence of well-defined vallicular sign. There is a potential radiolucent space superior to the epiglottis. This is obliterated. This is called vallicular sign. A fold is thickened. There is circumferential narrowing of subglottic portion of trachea during the inspiration, and there is ballooning of hypopharynx. This is the X-ray soft tissue neck lateral view of the patient with epiglottitis. This is the swollen epiglottis. This is a thumb sign, looks like thumb. This is also swollen epiglottis, thumb sign. The vallicula is compressed. There is no vallicula. This is vallicular signs and the ballooning of hypopharynx. And this is the AE fold thickening, area epiglottic fold thickening. In this picture, there is a ballooning of hypopharynx. This is the epiglottis. Now, treatment of acute epiglottitis, you should hospitalize the patient, keep the patient in pediatric ICU. There should be careful monitoring of saturation and other vitals. Patient should be isolated. Patient should be well hydrated with IV fluids if necessary. Humidified oxygen should be given and oxygen tent therapy. The patient should be kept in the small oxygen tent. We should first secure the airway in case of acute stridor. If the patient has a stridor, we should secure the airway either by tracheostomy or by the intubation. Mechanical ventilation should be given till the swelling and the inflammation subside. Now antibiotics, we give ceftriaxone, IV ceftriaxone 100 milligram per kg per day in 2 divided doses, and the steroids hydrocortisone 100 mg intravenous stat, and then 25 milligram 8 hourly. Now we should give rifampicin prophylaxis for the all household contacts of the patient. Now the first thing to do for acute epiglottitis patient is to secure the airway. It can be secured by endotracheal intubation through nasal route or oral route. Nasal route is preferred, or we can do the percutaneous translaryngeal ventilation by needle cricothyroidotomy. In case you cannot do the tracheostomy or you cannot intubate the patient, you are unable to intubate the patient, then this should be done. And tracheostomy is the last resort for the acute stridor. You cannot ventilate the patient if you are unable to ventilate the patient through endotracheal intubation or percutaneous cricothyroidotomy, then you should do tracheostomy. Now, how we prevent this acute epiglottitis is Haemophilus influenzae B vaccination for all children. Because of this HIV vaccination, the incidence of acute epiglottitis has decreased drastically. Now, rifampicin prophylaxis should be given to all household contacts, and on those child in household less than 4 years who have not received appropriate dose of HIV vaccine, this should be given, or immunocompromised child, even if the child is vaccinated. More than 2 years, these children need not who do not need vaccination, as this provide immune protection. Now, laryngotracheobronchitis, LTB, also called commonly as CRU. Acute viral laryngotracheobronchitis called CRU. This is a viral infection. This is the commonest cause for stridor in children. Commonest infective cause. Mean age is 18 months. Causative agents are different kind of viruses, most commonly parainfluenza viruses, type 1, 2, and 3, influenza viruses, RSV, rhinovirus, and sometimes measles viruses. These are the causes for the CRU. Clinical features, there is a gradual onset which is preceded by the URT, upper respiratory tract infection occurs. Then after 48 hours, there is a gradual onset of the symptoms. There's hoarseness, and biphasic stridor, mainly at the night. There is stridor on the inspiration and also in expiration. This dry cough, barking seal cough, it's called like a bark. The cough sounds like a barking of seal, so it's called barking seal cough. Fever is low grade, less than 102. Child prefers to lie down, but the child is restless. In case of acute epiglottitis, child tends to sit up and put the both hands forward, giving the tripod sign. But here child prefers to lie down, but the child is restless. And unlike this acute epiglottitis, drooling of saliva and dysphagia is absent in crew. Fever is mild, but in acute epiglottitis, the fever is high grade. Now, investigations in laryngotracheal bronchitis, viral laryngotracheal bronchitis, plain X-ray, soft tissue neck, AP view, anterior-posterior view, while in acute epiglottitis, it was lateral view. Church steeple or pencil point sign is seen in AP view of soft tissue neck. Church steeple, the top of the church, in Nepali it's called gajur. The shape of this steeple is seen in AP view of the soft tissue neck X-ray, and also ballooning of hypopharynx is there. Now, if we do flexible laryngoscopy, we can do the narrowed subglottic area. The supraglottic area is normal, vocal cords are normal, but the subglottis is narrowed. This is the church steeple sign. This is the upper airway. This is trachea, and the trachea, when it reaches the subglottis, it looks like a pencil tip or church steeple. This is the steeple sign. This is pathognomic of laryngotracheal bronchitis. This is due to the edema of the subglottis, not the supraglottis, but the edema of subglottis upper airway. It's the steeple sign. On lateral view also you can see the steeple sign. Hypopharynx is dilated. This is the steeple sign. In laryngoscopic view, this is the vocal cords. The subglottic area is narrowed. Now, treatment for crew. Again, you should hospitalize the patient, give humidified oxygen and mucolytic drugs. You should hydrate patient with IV fluids. Again, there is role of steroids, hydrocortisone, 100 mg Ivstat and 25 mg eta-hourly. Oxygen tent. Keeping the patient in oxygen tent like shown in this picture decreases the bronchospasm and pulmonary edema. Antibiotic you can give ceftriaxone 100 mg per kg per day. And another modality of treatment is racemic adrenaline in the ratio of 1:1000. This should be given with nebulization. In the nebulization mixture, you keep this adrenaline and nebulize the patient with this racemic adrenaline. Seldomly there is acute stridor. If there is acute stridor, then you should do the tracheostomy to intubation tracheostomy to maintain the airway. Now, bacterial laryngotracheal bronchitis, also called pseudomembranous crew. This is more severe than the viral LTB or just crew. Causative agent is Staphylococcus aureus. And the pathology, there is sloughing of respiratory epithelium. There is necrosis and sloughing of respiratory epithelium. That's why it's called pseudomembranous crew. Clinical features: hoarseness, biphasic stridor, dry cough, high-grade fever. In viral laryngotracheal bronchitis, there's mild-grade fever, but in this bacterial LTB, it's high-grade fever, more than 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, here the child prefers to lie down, but is restless. In radiological investigation, X-ray neck, AP view, again the church steeple sign, and the treatment is same as viral LTB, but here you should give the antibiotics. You should not skip the antibiotics. Moisture, humidified oxygen, antibiotics, tank therapy, and in emergency condition, to secure the airway, you can do endotracheal intubation or tracheostomy. Now, subglottic laryngitis, also called spasmodic crew. Etiology is unknown, but we suspect influenza virus. There is subglottic mucosal edema and commonly occurs below the child below the 3 years of age. Again, there is rapid onset with biphasic stridor. There is barking, silk cough, low-grade fever. Dysphagia and drooling are absent, unlike epiglottitis. X-ray of neck AP view again gives the church steeple sign because there is subglottic inflammation or the edema. Treatment is again same, moist humidified air, oxygen supported treatment, and rarely endotracheal intubation or tracheostomy to secure the airway. Now in this chart, you can see the differentiating feature of all these laryngeal inflammatory conditions: acute epiglottitis, viral croup, bacterial croup, spasmodic croup, and retropharyngeal abscess. Now common age for acute epiglottitis 3 to 7 years, viral croup 1 to 3, bacterial croup is 1 to 8 years, spasmodic croup 1 to 3. So acute epiglottitis occurs in older children. Now voice is normal or muffled in acute epiglottitis. In all the crew, the voice is hoarse, and even in retropharyngeal abscess, the voice is hoarse or muffled. Now cough is absent in acute epiglottitis. All other crews, the cough is present and is absent in retropharyngeal abscess. Now stridor in acute epiglottitis, it involves the upper supraglottic larynx, so the stridor is inspiratory in all the crew, which is the inflammation of the lower part of the upper airway, which is subglottis and trachea and bronchus. The stridor is biphasic. Again, in retropharyngeal abscess, this inspiratory stridor. Dysphagia and drooling is the main feature of acute epiglottitis and retropharyngeal abscess. It is absent in crew. Fever is high grade in acute epiglottitis because it's a bacterial infection caused by H. influenzae. And again, in bacterial crew, fever is high, and retropharyngeal abscess is also caused by the mixed flora bacteria. So all the bacterial infections have high grade fever, and all those viral infections have low grade fever. Now posture acute epiglottitis, quiet in sitting position, posture is tripod position, and all other crews is supine and restless. And retropharyngeal abscess is restless and sitting. So in those two, retropharyngeal abscess and acute epiglottitis, posture is sitting, and all other group posture is the supine. The preferred posture of patient is supine. Now chronic laryngitis. This is the chronic non-specific and irreversible inflammation of the laryngeal mucosa. Irreversible changes of laryngeal mucosa, non-specific inflammation of the laryngeal mucosa. Now, causes of chronic laryngitis: viral infection, common cold, most common cause. Vocal abuse, those singers, teachers are more prone to chronic laryngitis. Allergy, smoking, environmental pollutants, these are also cause of chronic laryngitis. GERD, thermal chemical burn due to inhalation. Laryngeal trauma, intratracheal intubation, or the blunt trauma, and undue physical or psychological stress. This again, those etiology of acute laryngitis are also the etiology of chronic laryngitis. Now the types of chronic laryngitis: chronic hyperemic laryngitis. The common symptoms: hoarseness, which is worse in the morning, and the dry cough, more than 3 weeks of dry cough, and persistent clearing of throat. The patient has developed the habit of clearing his throat. This is persistent, and there is history of upper respiratory tract infection or GERD. Laryngoscopy. When we do laryngoscopy, we can see the hyperemic laryngeal mucosa, the reddish laryngeal mucosa with submucosal edema, which is very hard to notice. Now treatment is voice rest, steam inhalation, medicated steam inhalation, systemic antibiotic, not commonly used, and we must stop all those causative agents like alcohol and tobacco in any form, smoking or chewing tobacco. And this condition is reversible within few weeks. Chronic hyperemic laryngitis. This is a picture of chronic hyperemic laryngitis. The mucosa is hyperemic. You can see subtle submucosal edema. Now another laryngitis, when another next step in the progression of laryngitis is chronic hyperplastic laryngitis. Again, their symptoms are hoarseness, dry cough more than 3 weeks, persistent throat clearing, history of GERD and upper respiratory tract infection. Laryngoscopy reveals mild congestion of laryngeal mucosa. There is the congestion of laryngeal mucosa. There might be patches of epithelial thickening, uneven thickening of epithelium of larynx, and sometimes there are polypoid lesions, broad-based polypoid lesions in the larynx. This is chronic hyperplastic laryngitis. There is uneven mucosal patches, thickening, broad base, polyps. Another picture of chronic hyperplastic laryngitis, uneven thickening of mucosa. Now, chronic laryngitis, in the histology, we have classifications given by Klein-Sasser's classification. There are 3 grades for histological changes occurring in laryngeal mucosa. Grade 1 is simple squamous cell hyperplasia or keratosis, just the hyperplasia or the keratosis of the squamous epithelium of mucosa. Grade 2 is small squamous cell hyperplasia plus atypia. There is mild to moderate dysplasia, atypia of the squamous cell. This is grade 2. And grade 3 in the progression is a carcinoma in situ with intact basal membrane. The basal membrane is intact, but carcinomatous changes has occurred in the upper squamous cell layer. Now, treatment of hyperplastic laryngitis, again, absolute voice rest. Systemic antibiotic can be used, tincture benzoin stim inhalation. Analgesic and antihistamine decongestion can be used, or we can do the microlaryngoscopic excision. We can do the surgery of the lesions, those broad-based polyps and uneven mucosa. You can do the excision and we can give it for histopathological examination. On histopathological examination, grade 1 and 2 needs no further treatment, but if there is grade 3, there is a carcinoma in situ, then we must excise the lesion. Total excision of the lesion must be done, and or the patient should be referred for the radiotherapy. Now, prevention of recurrent attacks of this chronic acute laryngitis. We should avoid breathing polluted air, tobacco in any form, chewing or smoking should be avoided, marijuana should be avoided, alcohol consumption should be avoided, and vocal abuse, voice abuse by talking or shouting at noisy places, shouting in loud voices should be avoided. Continuous throat clearing also aggravates this condition. It should be avoided, and also whispering loudly should be avoided. These will all cause the stress in the vocal cords and the larynx, causing laryngitis. Now, laryngeal tuberculosis, tuberculosis of larynx. This is very common condition associated with pulmonary tuberculosis. Most common areas involved are posterior commissure, arytenoids, vocal cords, ventricular bands, and epiglottis. These are the main areas in the larynx which are affected by pulmonary TB, which is commonly associated with the pulmonary TB. Now, method of spread bronchogenic. There's a contact of larynx with the sputum. The patient with pulmonary TB has tuberculous bacilli in the sputum. It gets contact with the larynx while coughing out the sputum. So it can spread through the bronchogenic route, or it can also spread through the hematogenous route. Now, there are 5 stages of this TB larynx. The first stage is just the exudation and the hyperemia in the subepithelial layers of laryngeal mucosa. Exudation and the hyperemia. This progresses to the infiltration of mononuclear round cells in the subepithelium, causing the pseudoedema. The third one is the tuberculosis granuloma formation with epithelial cells, Langerhans giant cells, and the central cageation necrosis. This is tubercle formation. After the tubercle formation, 4th stage is ulceration, undermined ulcers. Ulcers with undermined edges involving the arytenoids and the epiglottis. This gives a picture of the moth-eaten or mouse-nibbled appearance of the epiglottis and the larynx. The larynx and the epiglottis looks like it's been nibbled by the mouse or eaten by the moth. The final stage is the cicatrization. This is the fibrosis. The ulcer healed by fibrosis. These are the 5 stages of the TB larynx. Now, symptoms of laryngeal tuberculosis is there is history of pulmonary tuberculosis. The voice gets weakened, followed by the hoarseness, There might be hemoptysis, throat pain, referred earache, and also dysphagia and odynophagia. Due to the perichondritis of the laryngeal cartilages, there might be difficulty in swallowing and the pain on swallowing. Now, laryngeal examination in case of TB laryngitis, there is impairment of the vocal cord adduction. This is the first sign. Now, the common areas involved are intra-arytenoid area, posterior vocal cords, posterior commissure, false cords, and epiglottis. There is congestion of these areas with surrounding pallor. Congestion with surrounding pallor. In the second stage, pseudoedema, there is mammillated appearance of intra-arytenoid area, and epiglottis looks like a turban. Shallow undermined ulcer can be seen. Vocal cord palsy and perichondritis can also be seen in laryngeal examination. This is the picture of laryngeal TB. Here, the false vocal cords, epiglottis is absent. False vocal cords, this looks like moth-eaten or mouse-nibbled. This is a picture of laryngeal TB. Now, diagnosis of laryngeal TB is done with this direct laryngoscopy and the biopsy. In the laryngoscopy, you can see the moth-eaten larynx. And when we take the biopsy and it comes typical of a tubercular granuloma, confirming the diagnosis. Chest X-ray, we can see the changes of the pulmonary TB, and sputum per AFB can also be positive. Now, treatment, we treat laryngeal TB with ATT for 9 months, and again review the patient. Okay, good question, Saroj. Sir, why acute epiglottitis patients should be isolated? Because it's an upper respiratory tract infection and caused by Haemophilus influenzae. So this can get to the other household contacts. So he can spread through cough or through simple breathing. It can be transmitted to other household contacts. So the patient should be isolated in case of epiglottitis. So the patient with epiglottitis can give another acute epiglottitis to his sibling or other household contacts. So household contacts he should be isolated, and household contacts should be given the rifampicin prophylaxis. But this acute epiglottitis condition is very rare these days because due to the Haemophilus influenzae B vaccination. Yes, laryngeal diphtheria is also important. It's not included in this class. It is also a life-threatening condition, laryngeal diphtheria, because of its upper airway tract obstruction and also its potential to cause the myocarditis. But again, this laryngeal diphtheria is very rare these days due to the vaccination, due to the DPT vaccination. In laryngeal diphtheria, I'll tell you something about laryngeal diphtheria. It is also an acute condition, just like acute epiglottitis. Patient develops a stridor, and you can see the clinical feature on examination, oral cavity examination. You can see the pseudomembranes, whitish membrane lying over the posterior pharyngeal wall and the tonsils, and sometimes these pseudomembranes, they break away and they obstruct the upper respiratory tract. They obstruct the glottis, or sometimes the laryngeal edema is also enough to cause the upper respiratory tract obstruction. So again, the laryngeal diphtheria, the management is same. You give the antibiotics and you look for the myocarditis. Again, humidified oxygen in case to secure the airway. You do the intubation or you do the tracheostomy. But in laryngeal diphtheria, intubation is contraindicated because you can push those pseudomembranes containing the bacteria deep down to the lower airway. So you prefer to do the tracheostomy in laryngeal diphtheria to secure the airway. But again, laryngeal diphtheria is rarer than acute epiglottitis because of this vaccination.